Hey guys, welcome to another Real Numbers video. Now, before I get started, I just wanted to make it clear that the problem with this series is not only does it not get like a ton of views right now, but I'm still going to do it anyway. I just absolutely love box office numbers and everything. Whenever I can cover it, it's absolutely great. But therein really lies the problem. Honestly, the one issue with this is that it kind of takes some time to, do a little bit of research and get enough news in order to be able to cover something. And at the same time, this issue is basically covering things that are very current, so I can't necessarily make videos well in advance. And if I do, I run the risk of actually being really well off with whatever prediction or, outdated news or something at that point. So, the problem with that is that I don't necessarily have a whole lot to cover. Now, this might be the one of two videos of today that are actually real numbers related. I might want to be covering the upcoming President's Day weekend because it's going to be pretty interesting. Just results there, the estimated results, and talking about, kind of relooking over my February 10th first blockbuster of the year situation that I was predicting, and it looks like I was relatively close, but not necessarily. But this is just kind of an interesting little update video that's not necessarily one way or the other going to affect that or anything going forward. I just needed some little content today, so I thought it was pretty interesting. So, if you've been following it all, at least whatever, on January 20th, 2017, last month for a lot of people, if you don't remember, Paramount actually went and developed and released the third movie in the X series, The Return of Xander Cage. One of the things that they were thinking that they were going to do at this point was kind of take and jump off of Vin Diesel's popularity from films like The Fast and Furious, and maybe even you can consider Riddick being on kind of the same level, but not necessarily in terms of box office success. But they were really taking like a huge cue from the Fast and Furious movies, which is basically taking Vin Diesel, giving him a world-hopping adventure, and putting him and surrounding him, with a lot of different actors from a lot of different countries and just a whole wide range of diversity. And for the most part, I feel like it worked. One of the news that actually came out last week, when you're going to be seeing this, but actually when I'm recording this, is the fact that apparently the movie is blowing up in China, and not necessarily that surprising considering the number of Chinese actors that are in the film and just how important China is becoming to the worldwide box office, news organizations and stuff, and how important it's becoming to Hollywood and everything. But it actually really is interesting, considering the fact that at the point of making this video, and it might be a little outdated, like I said, but at the point of making this video, the film has actually made 186 million foreign box office and 43 million domestically. 61 million of that has come from China alone. And like I've said in other videos, it's really hard to kind of interpret the fact that, one issue or another, like the way it works out with like the way Hollywood keeps the receipts from China, it varies, and it's not something we necessarily know one way or the other. But when you hear that things are successful in China, don't necessarily take that as whole cloth. Take it as like with a pinch of salt, really, because you don't necessarily know how much money is getting back into U.S. foreign markets, and you don't necessarily know how much money is getting back to U.S. studios and everything. And that's one of the reasons we see, as if when you're seeing this, the current film coming out was The Wall with Matt Damon. It's one of the reasons Hollywood's actually doing co-productions with China to kind of spare them the cost of something while also getting something that could potentially do very, very well overseas. That's becoming more and more and more important as we kind of lose our domestic foothold in terms of being the biggest film market for not only just Hollywood films, but also film market worldwide. And it is interesting. I feel like that's pretty interesting. The news here really is the fact that it really looks like Vin Diesel probably found himself a third franchise that's booming again, and not to mention that his three franchises that are booming are the ones that he basically started in before he actually thought he was a huge movie star, and then started basically backing out of stuff like the Fast and Furious, the Riddick movies, although he definitely did try with those, and then X, but he basically had to come back to them, and no fault on him. I think he's a fun, interesting kind of creative talent that's out there, and hopefully he can probably branch out from it, but I don't necessarily see it anytime soon. That being said, I do like him as an actor. I do like him as a creative force. I feel like without him, the Fast and Furious movies probably wouldn't be anything. And maybe if he finds or and Riddick as well, but maybe if he finds some passion or a little bit more passion with this franchise, then he can approach it in the same way. And as crazy and wacky as those movies are, maybe they can continue on for multiple films like the other franchises that he's a part of. But it definitely does look like, considering the numbers that we're seeing rolling in from this film, that we probably will be able to see a fourth film sometime in the near future. Don't be surprised if it's partly made by China investment and everything. I mean, I'm sure that's something that they would really like to get involved with. I think they were leaning towards it with this film. I'm not necessarily sure if they had any real involvement other than just like actors and maybe a couple studios putting in a little bit of money. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I thought I'd share like a quick video with you guys honestly about this. So tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about China and its growing importance at the US box office as we keep going forward, and how, you know, basically American audiences don't seem very interested in certain movies, or maybe we're just not the strongest drawing force at this point anymore. We're not the biggest film market when you look at just sheer numbers of people actually going to the movie theaters and everything. So anyway, let me know what you think about Triple X. Personally, I haven't seen it yet. I really do hope to see it at some point soon, but you know, I might just wait until DVD and Blu-ray, which is completely other topic for not only this series, but just going into, you know, looking at how film numbers do and everything else, and how that used to be super important, and now it's kind of been regulated into not as important as it once was. But I'm just rambling at this point. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.